Imagine, just for a second, that you are a wealthy, highly educated Roman senator in the year 235 AD.
Okay, so you're at the top of the social ladder.
Exactly. And when you picture your emperor, you expect, refinement. You expect a guy draped in purple silk, debating philosophy, or citing Greek literature in perfect Latin.
Right, because that image is the whole bedrock of Roman political stability.
Yeah, the emperor is supposed to be this sophisticated manager of a huge bureaucratic machine.
The first among equals, basically.
Right, but then that 500-year-old illusion of aristocratic control just violently shatters, because suddenly the most powerful man in the world isn't a philosopher.
Not even close.
No, he is literally a giant, like an 8.5-foot tall former shepherd from the barbarian fringes of the empire.
A guy who sleeps in muddy military camps and reportedly crushes men's skulls with his bare hands.
It's insane. He has never set foot in Rome, and he openly despises everything the Senate stands for.
I mean, the psychological shock to the Roman elite there just cannot be overstated. It was a total paradigm shift.
It really ripped away the polite fictions of Roman politics to reveal all that raw violence underneath. So welcome everyone on behalf of the YouTube channel Voces de la Historia and our series Road to the Fall of Rome. We are jumping into a deep dive today.
And it is a wild one. We are looking at one of the most terrifying and pivotal figures in ancient history, Maximinus Thrax.
The first barbarian emperor of Rome. A guy who used his sheer physical size to seize the throne and basically kick off a 50-year period of military anarchy.
And our mission for this deep dive is to sort through some fantastic sources. We're looking at ancient chronicles, like Herodian and the Historia Augusta.
Plus some really cool numismatic stuff, right? Like the actual coins from his reign.
Exactly. Coin analyses and modern historical commentaries. We want to figure out how a humble Thracian shepherd weaponized his own biology to break the system.
And we are going to break down this super complex crisis of the 3rd century into a story that is epic and honestly pretty easy to understand.
Let's start with the physical reality of the man, because before we talk about his chaotic rule, we have to understand how an outsider even got in.
Right, because his upward mobility wasn't about money or a fancy marriage. It was entirely physical.
Totally. To understand Maximinus, you have to look at the rugged frontier where he was born around 173 AD, a small village in Thrace, which is modern-day Bulgaria.
So by aristocratic Roman standards, he was literally as low-born as you could possibly get.
Oh, absolutely. The chronicles say his father was a Goth and his mother was an Allan. He was just a humble shepherd protecting his flocks from bandits.
But nature gave him, like, a genetic lottery ticket out of poverty, right?
Yeah, a medical condition we know today as acromegaly.
The ancient sources are crazy vivid about this. They claim he grew to be up to 2.61 meters tall, over 8.5 feet.
Even if historians like Herodian were exaggerating a bit for drama, modern medicine tells us acromegaly creates a literal colossus.
And the average Roman soldier back then was, what, barely 5.5 feet tall?
Right, so Maximinus would have just blotted out the sun. And acromegaly doesn't just make you tall, it fundamentally alters your bone structure.
Oh wow, so like thicker bones.
Exactly. Extreme thickening of the skeletal frame, massive hands and feet, and a really heavy, prominent jawline. He was built like a biological tank.
I always think of it like an oversized, hyper-aggressive varsity high school linebacker accidentally wandering onto a field of middle school flag football players.
That is the perfect analogy. The physical disparity was terrifying. Which brings us to the story that actually launches his career.
Right, during the military games for the Emperor Septimius Severus.
Yeah, they were celebrating the emperor's son's birthday. Maximinus, this totally unknown Thracian teenager, just walks up and asks to compete in the wrestling matches.
And he just dominates, doesn't he?
It's a brutal display of dominance. He steps into the ring and systematically defeats 16 of the strongest legionaries one after another with barely any effort.
16. That is ridiculous.
I know. The emperor is obviously intrigued, but wants to test his endurance. So he orders Maximinus to run alongside his galloping horse.
Wait, he made a giant run next to a horse.
Yeah, and the emperor pushes the horse hard, fully expecting the guy to collapse. But Maximinus just keeps pace effortlessly.
That's wild.
And when the emperor finally stops, Maximinus just calmly asks if anyone else wants to wrestle.
Oh my god.
So naturally, he gets recruited right into the elite cavalry.
Okay, I have to push back here though. Because being a human battering ram makes you a great soldier, sure. But ruling the Roman Empire means managing taxes, grain supplies, and all those ambitious aristocrats.
Right, it's a huge bureaucratic job.
Exactly. How does an illiterate, oversized gladiator convince the Roman military to make him the CEO of the whole empire?
Well, that leap requires a complete breakdown of leadership at the top. We have to jump forward to the year 235 AD.
Okay, so who is in charge then?
A young guy named Alexander Severus, and he represents everything Maximinus is not. He is educated, refined, and totally dominated by his mother.
And the empire is facing an existential crisis at this point, right?
Yeah.
With Germanic tribes massing across the Rhine and Danube.
Yes, huge confederations threatening the borders, and Alexander makes a catastrophic miscalculation.
He tries to pay them off.
Exactly. He treats a military threat like a diplomatic negotiation. Instead of fighting, he offers massive bribes of gold to keep them away.
Which, if you know anything about Roman legions, violates their entire cultural identity. Their whole ethos is built on military excellence and dominance.
Paying off a barbarian tribe basically feels like surrender to them. The psychological contract between the emperor and the army just shatters.
So the troops, especially those rugged Pannonian recruits from Legio Italica, are just enraged.
Furious. They are freezing in the mud on the frontier, looking at Alexander as this cowardly boy hiding behind his mother.
And then they look at Maximinus.
Right. A commander who bleeds with them, eats the same terrible rations, and leads from the front.
The legions realize they have all the swords, so they just rewrite the rules.
They storm Alexander's tent, assassinate him and his mother, and literally drape the imperial purple over the giant's shoulders.
The paradigm completely flips. Rome suddenly has an emperor with zero senatorial backing and zero classical education.
Yep, the first emperor from the absolute bottom of the social ladder.
But my question is, once he has the throne, does he even try to learn the political game? Like, does he try to make nice with the Senate at all?
Not even a little bit. He ignores the Senate entirely. He manages the entire Roman Empire exactly like a sprawling military camp.
So his whole strategy is just keeping the guys with the swords happy.
Pretty much. He immediately doubles the soldiers' pay, enforces draconian discipline, and personally leads cavalry charges deep into Germanic swamps.
But wait, you can't just double the military budget overnight. The math doesn't work. That money has to come from somewhere.
Oh, it comes from bleeding the civilian population dry.
Yeah.
He weaponizes the tax collectors, ruthlessly raises taxes everywhere, and strips public funds from temples.
And he executes wealthy aristocrats on totally flimsy treason charges just to steal their estates, right?
Yes, senators like Magnus and Quartinus. And he does all of this without ever visiting the city of Rome. He governs entirely from the saddle on the northern frontier.
It's like a rogue department head taking over a massive corporation, refusing to ever visit headquarters, and draining the entire company budget just to give his own team a massive bonus.
That's exactly what it felt like. The board of directors, the Senate, was in a state of absolute terror.
But they were paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
They hated him, but
Yeah.
he had the army.
Right, they had zero leverage.
Which sets up this really fascinating mechanical problem. If he never goes to Rome, the average citizen and the senators have no idea what he actually looks like.
Yeah, they only know his terrifying reputation.
And in antiquity, the only way millions of people see the leader's face is through coins. So how does the Roman mint handle the PR for a guy they've never seen?
The numismatic evidence here is incredible. It's a spectacular window into Roman propaganda. When he first becomes emperor, the mint goes into overdrive.
But they don't have a portrait to work from.
Exactly. So they literally just guess. They fabricate an image based on what an emperor should look like.
So they just photoshopped him.
Basically. Early silver denarius coins, like the Salus Augusti issue, are almost comical. They just took the smoothed-out, handsome face of the murdered emperor Alexander and added a few wrinkles.
That is hilarious. It's the exact opposite of an 8-foot-tall brawler. So when does the reality catch up?
A few months later, when accurate descriptions or a bust finally arrive from the camps, the later coins change dramatically.
They drop the philosopher look.
Completely. They depict his true, brutal features. A super heavy, jutting jaw, a deeply furrowed, aggressive brow, and short, rough military hair. The coins show a monster.
I remember the sources even mentioning a detail about his anatomy to show how massive he was. He supposedly used his wife's gold bracelet as a thumb ring.
Cecilia Paulina's bracelet, yeah. His fingers were just too thick for standard rings.
That is so crazy. But looking at these really aggressive coin portraits, I have to wonder, was this a total PR disaster for a Senate that valued refinement? Or did Maximinus actually want to look terrifying?
Oh, leaning into the terror was a very calculated survival mechanism. He had zero interest in looking cultured.
Because culture doesn't stop assassins.
Exactly. Brutal strength does. He wanted every senator to look at that furrowed brow on their coins and remember that a giant with a massive army was watching them.
But history shows that governing purely through intimidation and insane taxes has a shelf life. Eventually, the system explodes.
And the fascinating thing is, it doesn't explode in Rome. It starts in the wealthy agricultural provinces.
Right, in the year 238 AD, the breaking point.
Yes, the year of the 6 emperors. The demand for military funding unleashed deeply corrupt tax collectors. In the province of Africa, modern-day Tunisia and Libya, landowners are being financially eradicated.
Corrupt officials are just confiscating their estates.
Yeah, through totally fraudulent court rulings. So the landowners realize they have nothing left to lose. They arm their farm workers with clubs and axes, assassinate the official, and start a revolt.
But a mob of farmers isn't an army. They need a figurehead to make it legal, right?
Exactly. So they turn to the local governor, Gordian I. He is 80 years old, super cultured, and absolutely does not want to lead a rebellion.
I mean, who would? Against a giant.
Right. But the mob surrounds his house and basically says, accept the imperial purple or we kill you right now.
So he accepts and makes his son, Gordian II, his co-emperor. And when word reaches Rome, the Senate is just euphoric.
They officially recognize the Gordians and declare Maximinus a public enemy.
But wait, how does that actually work? If Maximinus has the whole northern army, why does the Senate backing an 80-year-old man in Africa even matter?
Because the Senate's endorsement is the legal key to the empire's resources. Declaring Maximinus a public enemy gives every province the legal cover to stop sending him grain and tax money.
Oh, I see. They tell the governors, you don't have to pay this tyrant anymore.
Exactly. They are trying to starve him out.
It's like watching a chaotic group project fall apart in real time.
Yeah.
One tax collector in Africa triggers a global war. But the African revolt itself is a total disaster, isn't it?
It lasts less than a month. The neighboring governor, Capelianus, commands the Legio III Augusta, a veteran legion loyal to Maximinus.
And he marches those professional killers right into Africa.
Yeah. Gordian II tries to defend Carthage with a ragtag civilian militia, and it is a slaughter. He dies in battle.
And the 80-year-old Gordian I.
When he hears his son is dead and the veterans are breaching the city, he hangs himself with his own belt.
Wow. So the Senate's big hope is literally obliterated in weeks. The panic in Rome must have been insane.
Absolute desperation. They know Maximinus is going to march south and execute every aristocrat he can find.
So they lock themselves in the Temple of Jupiter.
Yeah, and desperately elect 2 of their own, Pupienus and Balbinus, to defend Italy. But the Roman mob violently rejects them.
Right, because they're just more wealthy elites.
Riots break out. To pacify the streets, the Senate is forced to make the 13-year-old grandson Gordian III the heir.
Okay, so picture Maximinus up in the freezing mud of the frontier. He gets the news. The Senate declared him a traitor, his money is cut off, and Rome has 2 old guys and a 13-year-old kid in charge.
He does the only thing he knows. He turns his massive army around and marches on Italy.
But moving tens of thousands of guys across the Alps is a logistical nightmare.
And logistics are what kill him. The Senate's starvation strategy actually works. He crosses the Alps expecting cities to just surrender out of fear.
But they don't. He hits a brick wall at the city of Aquileia.
Yes, a wealthy, fortified commercial hub. The citizens make the incredibly brave choice to lock their gates and refuse him entry.
And sieges back then were awful, just disease-ridden waiting games.
Maximinus orders an assault, but the defenders fight back ferociously. The sources say they rained down boiling pitch and sulfur on his army,
burning their flesh up. Brutal.
And meanwhile, his men are running out of food. The Senate scorched the earth ahead of him. The troops are freezing, starving, and the local river is so polluted with rotting corpses they can barely drink.
Morale just completely evaporates. But it hits one specific legion the hardest, Legio II Parthica. Why them?
Because they have a fatal vulnerability. Their permanent base is in Alba, right outside Rome.
Oh, so their families are there.
Wives, children, aging parents. These soldiers are sitting in the mud outside Aquileia, drinking corpse water, realizing that if they keep fighting, the Senate will just execute their families in Alba.
Oh, wow. The math totally changes for them. The loyalty just vanishes.
Completely. Which leads to the deeply tragic irony of this whole story. In broad daylight, soldiers from Legio II Parthica just walk right into Maximinus' tent.
The strongest man in the world. the guy who wrestled 16 men.
Murdered in the dirt alongside his 22-year-old son by the very men who gave him the throne.
If they cut off their heads and send them to the Senate.
Yep. And that assassination is the spark that plunges the Roman world into the abyss. It kicks off the crisis of the 3rd century.
Because Maximinus proved a fatal concept. He proved that the Senate and the laws didn't actually hold any real power.
He taught every ambitious general that all you need is a big sword and enough bribe money for the troops.
He totally broke the seal. He taught the legions. If you don't like the current management, just kill him and pick the guy standing next to you.
And that triggers 50 years of relentless civil war. We see Philip the Arab murder that 13-year-old Gordian III to take the throne.
We see Decius becoming the first emperor to die in battle against foreigners at Apertus.
And guys like Trebonianus Gallus and Aemilian just constantly betraying and butchering each other. The life expectancy of an emperor drops to months.
The empire nearly eats itself. And it all started because the institutions of peaceful transition were permanently destroyed by a Thracian shepherd.
The legacy here is really about the illusion of power. Maximinus simply called the elite's bluff.
He exposed that the fancy senators were ruling through tradition, not actual strength. He proved that even the greatest empire could be brought to its knees by one giant.
It is a profound historical warning. Institutions only have power as long as everyone collectively agrees to believe in them.
And once the physical force shifts, the whole structure can collapse overnight. Which actually brings us to a final provocative thought for you to mull over today.
What's that?
Well, if Rome's centuries-old traditions were completely shattered just because one marginalized outsider had physical strength and the military's loyalty, what invisible, fragile agreements are holding up our own modern political institutions right now?
Ooh, that's a chilling thought. We trust in all these constitutional norms and checks and balances.
Right. But what modern giant might it take to expose just how fragile those unwritten agreements really are?
The mechanics of power really don't change, do they? The past is always closer than we think.
It really is. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive into the chaos of the ancient world. See you on the roads of the empire, on the road to the fall of Rome.